Very warm welcome. You're watching Race to Power with me, Raisha Sehgal. Our top focus on the show tonight. A marathon session of voting session on Trump's big beautiful bill is underway in the Senate, with lawmakers continuing to offer changes to Trump's bill before a final vote. That's a top focus from the United States of America. Meanwhile, from Thailand, we will tell you how the country's Prime Minister has now been suspended after Thailand's Constitutional Court opened an ethics probe over a leaked phone call that she had made with the Cambodian leader. Well, politics is all about power play, and right now we are witnessing a tussle in the heart of world's oldest democracy. US President Donald Trump is backing his most ambitious policy. What's standing in his way are not only political opponents, but also a friend turned foe. Elon Musk has now thrown his weight to rally support to block the bill. The big beautiful bill, the sweeping piece of legislation of 940 pages, echoes Trump's era priorities from border security to tax reforms. With the voting underway in US Senate for the third consecutive day, the bill is stirring both excitement and outrage in Washington. The bill will slash welfare programs for the poor while adding an eye-watering $3 trillion to the national debt. Democrats united against the legislation have offered scores of amendments to alter it. But many Republicans have shown discomfort to this. GOP leaders have a narrow margin and cannot afford to lose more than 3 Republican senators. 2 senators, Thom Tillis of North Carolina and Rand Paul of Kentucky, have already indicated that they oppose it. An end to the vote drama has been predicted to come well into Tuesday night.
Republicans need to stay tough and unified during the home stretch, and we are counting on them to get the job done.
Even if the bill squeaks through the Senate, it still needs a vote in the House of Representatives, where Democrats are again uniformly opposed and several rebels in the slim Republican majority threaten to oppose. But Trump wants to have the package on his desk by the time Independence Day festivities begin on Friday. Trump's insistence on the bill has put the more vulnerable Republicans in a difficult position. Polls show that the bill is among the most unpopular ever, considered across multiple demographics and income groups as well. Democrats expect to use the public anger, especially over the healthcare cuts in 2026 midterm elections, when they hope to retake the House. The bill has also reignited the spat between Trump and his former advisor turned critic, Musk. The world's richest person, Musk, who already had an acrimonious public falling out with the US president this month over the bill, has repeatedly slammed its cost. He has renewed his calls for the formation of a new political party as voting got underway on Monday. Trump, in turn, has hit back at Musk. He has warned that without subsidies from the American government, the Tesla CEO will probably have to head back to South Africa. He has suggested that DOGE, of the Department of Government Efficiency, once led by Musk, should investigate the extent of subsidies flowing to Musk's companies. This, in turn, has led to Tesla shares sinking more than 6%. And the face-off does not seem to be ending anytime soon.
Not everybody wants an electric car. I don't want an electric car. I want to have maybe gasoline, maybe electric, maybe a hybrid. Maybe someday a hydrogen. If you have a hydrogen car, it has one problem, it blows up, you know?
It remains unclear how much sway Musk has over Congress or what effect his opinions might have on the bill's passage. But Republicans have expressed concern that his on-again, off-again spat with Trump could hurt their chances to protect their majority in the 2026 midterm congressional elections. And for more on this, we were earlier joined by Christopher Hale, who is a political analyst. He has worked for Presidents Obama and Biden in the White House and also on the campaign trail. Listening to what he had to say on this.
But now we have, right now in the United States, this big, beautiful bill that's called by the president going through Congress, and Elon Musk is hammering it again and again and again. President Trump wants to primary a congressman from Kentucky, Thomas Massey, who is against the bill. And Elon Musk said, you know what, I'm going to back Thomas Massey. And you know what's interesting about President Trump is he on paper is the first billionaire to ever be president of the United States. Very rarely is he outflanked by money, but Elon Musk has upwards of 100 times more money than President Trump does. So I think that this is a serious issue for the president going forward.
And for the latest on the big, beautiful bill, our correspondent Susan Tehrani is now joining us live from New York. Hi, Susan. As of now, where does the bill stand right now amid the vote Rama and many amendments actually making their way onto the bill? Give us a lowdown of what comes next.
Yeah, so it appears that the Republicans are now saying just a few minutes ago that they indeed have the votes. Now, they may need a tiebreaker vote, 50-50 with J.D. Vance. We saw him go into the Capitol building early this morning, right after sunrise. But one holdout was Lisa Murkowski of Alaska, and it appears that she's on board right now. We'll give you the latest as soon as we get it on how she became on board and what amendments were made. But nonetheless, Senate says they have a go-ahead and they have the votes and they're likely to vote very soon. However, as you mentioned, this bill, because it made amendments, goes back to the House, and the Freedom Caucus are concerned. First of all, they're concerned that there was an amendment made to this bill that illegal aliens stay on government health care funding. And second of all, they're concerned about the deficit. Now, experts say that deficit is going to even get worse and worse for taxpayers if this bill isn't passed, because the Trump-era tax cuts are expected to expire in 2026, and about 60 to 68% of Americans across the board will see their tax increases. So that may be an incentive for the House to pass it as well and get it to President Trump's desk by this self-imposed deadline of July 4th. But we're watching very closely.
Right, Susan, we'll of course be tracking this very closely with you, but thanks for joining us here on Race to Power. Well, France is enduring a heat wave. The weather department says there is no respite in coming days. But in Paris, the temperatures are also rising in the political circles. France's Prime Minister, François Bayrou, is all set to face another no-confidence vote called upon by the Socialist Party over failed pension talks. But it seems that Bayrou will survive the no-confidence vote this week after the far right indicated that it will not follow suit. While the no-confidence motion has broad support across the left, it is set to fail as it will not receive the support of the National Rally Party under Marine Le Pen. However, Le Pen's far-right party has not ruled out using its leverage in Parliament to vote out Prime Minister Bayrou, as it did with Barnier over the 2026 budget in the autumn. The centrist veteran was named the Prime Minister by the French President Emmanuel Macron in December with a mission to bring stability following months of chaos in the wake of last summer's legislative elections. If Bayrou were to be ejected by Parliament in a vote of no confidence, then it would leave Macron seeking his 7th Prime Minister and cast a heavy shadow over the remaining 2 years of his presidential mandate. The French Prime Minister on Sunday dismissed the no-confidence motion as a joke and accused his detractors of being irresponsible. Experts say that the current situation exposes the failure of the so-called Bayrou method, under which the Prime Minister sought to ensure his survival by working with moderate left-wing forces and not relying on the far right. And well, joining us in the broadcast now is our correspondent, Ross Cullen. He's joining us live from Paris. Hi, Ross. First up, while the French Prime Minister is said to survive this no-confidence vote, talk to us about how he still hangs by a thread, how his future still hangs by a thread.
Well, that's because it's a minority government when you add together Emmanuel Macron's MPs, his centrist allies, and also the lawmakers from the centre-right Republican Party. They fall well short of a majority in Parliament after that snap election in 2024. And so We do know that this no confidence vote, if everybody votes according to their previously stated positions, then Prime Minister Francois Bayrou will survive this seventh latest vote against him. But the National Rally MPs, who are in opposition, who are on the hard right of Parliament, if they team up with their left-wing opposition MPs in the autumn, then there is a chance that the Prime Minister could be ejected, because Marine Le Pen's party have said that they are not going to vote to oust the Prime Minister for now, but they believe that, quote, his time will come, most likely in the autumn during debates about the budget.
Right, Ross. Marine Le Pen clearly said that maybe we will take out a motion on the energy crisis against Bayrou. My last question to you, Bayrou finds himself in a similar situation like that of the former Prime Minister, Mr. Barnier. How are the French people reacting to this?
Well, every Prime Minister that is going to be appointed by Emmanuel Macron currently in this situation, if they voted out Francois Bayrou and there wasn't another election, would be in the same position. Minority government, well short of a majority, which is what Emmanuel Macron's party enjoyed during his first term in office from 2017 to 2022. However, there is the possibility of a new snap election, because you have to wait 12 months between elections in France, and we had one in July 2024, so we can now have another one at any time. Emmanuel Macron does have the constitutional power to call a snap general election, but for a lot of the French people, they do believe that it is hard for the government to be able to pass legislation, but they also are tired of the endless challenges to the Prime Minister, changing Prime Minister every couple of months, another Prime Minister, another no confidence vote, another Prime Minister. So it's hard for the government and also hard for the opposition to keep the public on side.
Right, Ross. Thanks so much for joining us in Race to Power with your insights. UK Prime Minister Keir Starmer's tumultuous time in office continues. Starmer's key reform policy is facing opposition from within the Labour ranks. Despite Labour's commanding majority in Parliament, a contentious vote on welfare reforms threatens to splinter the party. The government has already revised the plans to cut disability and sickness benefits after facing a rebellion from 126 Labour MPs. But despite concessions, nearly 40 MPs still threatening to defy the party line, the final vote remains too close for comfort for Starmer. The welfare reforms meant to save the Treasury $6.35 billion, but after concessions, only half of that amount is expected to be saved. The government has also promised that tougher eligibility rules will apply only to new claimants, not existing beneficiaries, but that has not been enough to calm the opposition within Labour's own ranks. Newly released government data estimates that even with concessions, the changes could perhaps push an extra 150,000 people into poverty, a figure that's intensified pressure on Starmer's leadership. The showdown comes just as Starmer nears his first year in office that has been marked with turbulence. In June alone, his government backtracked on plans to scrap winter heating benefits for pensioners and further agreed to a national inquiry into child sexual abuse. That's after initial resistance. A recent YouGov poll of over 10,000 voters found Labour losing support not just to reform UK, but also falling behind Liberal Democrats and the Greens. Well, is Xi Jinping's more than a decade-long dominance over CCP loosening? We ask that because Xi's absence from public view is raising alarms about a possible shift in China's power corridors. According to reports, the Chinese leader was mysteriously absent from public view for about 2 weeks. That's between 21st of May and 5th June. Reports suggest that veteran CCP leaders, including Xi's predecessor, Hua Jintao, who was publicly humiliated at the 20th Party Congress in 2022, are now wielding influence behind the scenes.
No.
And Zhang Yuxiao, who had a significant falling out with Xi after helping him secure an unprecedented third five-year term, is reportedly now the de facto leader of the Chinese Army PLA, backed by senior CCP officials who support former President Hu Jintao. The reports are citing some recent developments that hint at a possible decline in power for China's paramount leader, including the recent purges and mysterious deaths of various PLA generals who were aligned with Xi, as they are now replaced by officials who are not loyal to the Chinese President Xi Jinping. Furthermore, the recent unnaming of the mausoleum of Xi's father has raised eyebrows. The mausoleum built by the Chinese president to honor his father notably surpassed the size of those dedicated to former supreme leaders Mao Zedong and Deng Xiaoping. While speculation about Xi's downfall has surfaced previously, this time reports also claim that his personal protective unit has been majorly downsized. Apart from that, questions are also being raised as to why no explanation has been given for Xi's disappearance in late May and early June. While foreign dignitaries were hosted in Beijing by other CCP leaders, during this period, CCP's mouthpiece, the People's Daily, reportedly stopped featuring Xi on its front page, a departure from the daily praise he received. Media reports also suggest that Zhang Yuxiao and CCP elders have chosen Wang Yang to potentially take over as the next CCP chairman. Wang is a seasoned leader who rose to prominence under Deng Xiaoping's mentorship and had a successful career before his forced retirement in 2023. There's also been claimed that Xi's health issues are expected to prompt his retirement or a shift to a largely symbolic position at the upcoming CCP plenary session in August. Well, Thailand's Constitutional Court has suspended Prime Minister Paetongtarn Shinawatra from duty as it opened an ethics probe over a leaked phone call she had with Cambodia's former leader. Paetongtarn will remain suspended while the Constitutional Court investigates whether she breached ministerial ethics during a diplomatic spat with Cambodia. Addressing the media at Bangkok's Government House, the Thai Prime Minister said she has accepted the ruling.
The court has made its decision, and I accept it. I will be suspended, but I have 15 days to present my evidence. I will do my best to show that I am fully committed and have acted with 100% dedication.
A long-standing territorial dispute between Thailand and Cambodia transformed into cross-border clashes in May, which resulted in the death of a Cambodian soldier. Reports citing leaked phone calls suggest that when Paetongtarn called Cambodian statesman Hun Sen to discuss these tensions, she called him uncle and referred to a Thai military commander as her opponent, which then caused a backlash. According to the Thai media reports, the country's deputy prime minister will initially take charge. In a big crackdown on the opposition in Turkey, Turkish police arrested more than 120 people at City Hall in the opposition stronghold of Izmir. According to the Turkish media, a total of 157 arrest warrants were issued in this operation. The crackdown came hours before the CHP was to hold a rally outside City Hall, marking 100 days since the removal of Imamoglu, the party's contestant for the 2028 presidential polls. Izmir is Turkey's third largest city, which the opposition has run for years. Well, the early morning arrests are part of a probe into alleged graft and comes on the back of a similar operation in opposition-run Istanbul in March that removed and jailed Mayor Ekrem Imamoglu, who is Erdogan's top challenger ahead of presidential polls in 2028. According to reports, a former mayor and various senior officials were among those detained in Izmir. According to the deputy chairman of the opposition CHP party, Murat Bakan, those arrested included former Izmir mayor Tung Soyer and CHP's provincial chairman, Sanol Aslan Oglu. The Izmir crackdown came a day after an Ankara court began hearing a case against the CHP involving allegations of vote buying at its 2023 leadership primary. The case could end up overturning the election of current leader Ozgur Özel, who has become the face of the spring demonstrations. It is the latest in a slew of legal maneuvers targeting the CHP, which aced last year's local elections and is rising in the polls. The crackdown against CHP came on a day when clashes erupted in Istanbul over allegations that a satirical magazine had published a cartoon of the Prophet Muhammad. Police fired rubber bullets and tear gas to break up the angry mob. The incident occurred after Istanbul's chief prosecutor ordered the arrest of the editors at Lehman magazine on grounds it had published a cartoon which publicly insulted religious values. Well, the magazine is seen as a satirical bastion of opposition, with many seeing the controversy as a part of a wider crackdown on the opposition in Turkey. Well, a new wave of violence has swept across western Mali, and in the latest escalation of a decade-long insurgency, suspected jihadists launched a coordinated attacks on multiple military installations. Mali's military confirmed that 7 army positions were targeted in the early hours. There are no reports of casualties as of now, including an army camp in the strategic western city of Kais. The gold-rich region that lies on the border with Senegal has become a hub for Al-Qaeda and ISIS offshoots. Heavy gunfire and explosions have been reported near government buildings. Attacks have also been reported in at least 4 other towns, including a town located directly on the border with Senegal. The Mali army says it is monitoring the situation closely, promising to release more details as they become available. Groups like Jamaat Nusrat Aka Jinim and Islamic State in the Greater Sahara, also known as ISIS Sahel, are most active in the region. This latest wave of assaults comes just weeks after a series of high-profile attacks, including a coordinated strike on Timbuktu's military base and airport on June 2nd, and also a deadly raid that killed at least 30 soldiers in central Mali a day earlier. Mali has been grappling with a violent insurgency for over a decade, fueled by groups linked to Al-Qaeda and the Islamic State, as well as separatist factions and criminal gangs. The violence is not contained to Mali alone. It has swept across the Sahel region. And well, for more on this, WION's correspondent Louisia Oliani has sent us this report. Take a look.
Emanating reports point to an early Tuesday morning multiple attack in parts of Mali by militants. The Malian military says that militants have launched a coordinated attack against the military positions in areas of Niono, Malodo, Sandare, Diboli, and more. Many of these sites are said to be military or logistical hubs. Analysts say Wagner's exit and weak counter-terrorism support is fueling crisis in the Sahel region as this instability threatens West Africa. Official casualties are still sketchy for now, as the army says the situation is under control, with updates expected. The 3 Sahel states of Mali, Burkina Faso and Niger military juntas had pledged during the coup that brought them to power to make security a priority, but incessant jihadist attacks has remained dominant. From Lagos, Nigeria, Louisia Olani, WION, World is One.
Let's now take a look at other political stories that are making the headlines today on Race to Power. Well, former Vice President of Ecuador is sentenced to 13 years in prison. George Glass had been accused of misusing public funds. Glass became Vice President in 2013 during the presidency of Rafael Correa and was removed from that position in January 2018 when he was charged in a corruption case tied to the Brazilian construction company. Kurdish militants from the PKK are said to lay down their weapons at a disarmament ceremony in Iraqi Kurdistan this month. The move comes just 6 weeks after the Kurdistan Workers' Party announced an end of more than 4 decades of insurgency that claimed over 40,000 lives. And while crackdown on opposition continues in Georgia, prominent opposition figure Nika Guarmia has been sent behind bars for 8 months. Georgia has been gripped by political unrest since the disputed parliamentary elections last October, when the ruling Georgian Dream Party declared victory, sparking mass demonstrations. Demonstrators accused the ruling party, which shelved EU membership talks, of veering towards authoritarian rule and steering the country closer to Moscow.
I think
Well, US President Donald Trump has launched a new range of perfumes for men and women. The fragrance is called Victory 4547, denoting Trump's first and second terms in office. Trump launched his perfume business products on a social media platform, Truth Social. We're leaving you with this report as we slip into a very short break. Thanks very much for staying with us. You are watching WION World is One. Stay tuned.
From the bustling trading floors of Wall Street to the vibrant exchanges of Asian stock markets, WION breaks it down for you to make sense of what's happening, as we reveal the key factors behind events, strategic battles, and the game-changing business decisions that shape the world. We bring you all of this and more on World Business Watch.
To bring the benefits of the Subhash Chandra Show to your educational institution, teachers and students, send an invitation to Juhi Jha at juhi@such.org.in.
WION, India's global voice, the channel that brings you the biggest stories from across the world through India's lens. Now available in